Hey guys, welcome to the channel today. Today's going to be kind of a fun video. We are going to compare my 18 Crosstrek to my wife's 2017 WRX. We're going to talk about some of the similarities, some of the differences, and then when I'm all said and done, I'm going to give you my opinion on which one of these cars is the better daily driver and why. Some of you are probably wondering why I would do a comparison of these two cars because they are very different. One's kind of made for fun and for going fast, and the Crosstrek's more for just kind of cruising around, kind of a utility vehicle and doing some off-roading stuff. They're both Subarus, so I thought it would be kind of fun to kind of look at them. And being that the Crosstrek and the WRX basically both come from the Impreza, I thought it would be kind of interesting to compare the new technology in the Crosstrek to the old technology in the WRX. Granted, I know that the lines have officially split according to Subaru, but this WRX is still built on the old Impreza platform, so I thought it would be kind of cool to check those out. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to is I think it's in 2020 they're going to come out with the WRX and the STI on the new Subaru global platform, and I think that's going to be a tremendous vehicle. It's a fun vehicle now. It does have its shortcomings just because of the platform that it's on, and it's kind of aging, and they really need to do something with the motor. But if they can transform the WRX and the STI like they have the Crosstrek, it's going to be an amazing vehicle to drive. So let's get in the video, and as always, leave your comments below. If you have any questions, you need to contact me directly. My email's below as well. Thanks so much for watching, and let's get started. All right, so today we are going to compare the 2017 WRX Premium to my 2018 Crosstrek Limited. And I'm not going to get into significant detail as to all of the similarities and differences of the vehicles, but I just wanted to go over some of the basic stuff and kind of compare and contrast the upgraded Crosstrek to the kind of older technology of the WRX. So here's a look at the steering wheel and the gauges in the Crosstrek. They have the updated head unit here versus the WRX. It still looks very similar and very Subaru, but you can see that it's definitely been upgraded. And, the radio, especially on the WRX, is very, cheap and kind of basic looking. One of the things that kind of surprised me when my wife got this car was how similar it was to my 2011 STI. So Subaru hasn't really made a whole lot of changes interior-wise over the years. The new Crosstrek interior, as you guys all know, I really like. The seats are comfortable and supportive, as they are in the WRX. I think just the materials used and how quiet the car is now has really changed with the Crosstrek compared to the older WRX and the older Imprezas, and even the older Crosstrek. As far as horsepower goes, the Crosstrek is 152, and the WRX has 268. So a little bit more junk in the trunk there for the WRX. So I'm going to talk real quick about what I like about the WRX, and then also some likes and what makes it a good daily driver. And first and foremost, it's a great looking vehicle. I like the fact that it's subtle looking but still very sporty at the same time. I was never a big fan of the huge STI rear wing on the sedan, so I like the fact this has a little spoiler and a nice little scoop in front. Kind of gives you that idea that it is a sporty car, but still it's not over the top. Obviously it's quick. It has 268 horsepower, 258 foot-pounds of torque. Handles great. It sounds good. Excellent suspension, good brakes. And overall, one of the big things I like about the car is just really fun to drive. It's just a fun package. And some of the things that I think, that I like about it that are also making a great daily driver are the fact that it's roomy, has excellent driving position. The visibility out of the car is good, so it's easy to drive in that sense. There's no blind spots. The controls are all laid out very well as far as where the clutch is placed compared to the brake and the gas pedal. Also, the shifter is in a good spot. You don't have to reach in kind of a weird way. And all of the controls on the steering wheel and the radio controls, AC and all that stuff, just makes sense, and they're very Subaru. You can also fit 4 adults in this thing very easily if you have to. If you have a commute with people from work or school or whatever. If you have kids, you can fit 2 car seats very comfortably in the back. And it's a very roomy car. There's just a lot of room for being a smaller sedan. It has a big trunk, which is nice if you need to carry stuff for school or work. And it gets pretty decent MPG. It's not phenomenal, but of course you're not buying the WRX necessarily for that, but it is a consideration if you're driving it every day, and I think it does okay. In my opinion, this car really shines on mountain roads, and not necessarily stoplight to stoplight, but when you're really driving it the way it's meant to be driven, kind of, more aggressively and quick versus a stoplight to stoplight vehicle. And that kind of brings me into what I don't necessarily like about the WRX. All right, first and foremost, and people who own WRXs and STIs know this, it's not a big surprise. One of the big problems is these cars have a lot of rattles, and they basically come out of the factory that way. When you put a quick motor and stiff suspension and bigger brakes on an Econo box like an Impreza, this is just what happens. So I chased rattles in my STI from the day I got it till the day I got rid of it. And this car, unfortunately, is no different, which is a little bit unfortunate, but you just kind of learn to live with it. And another offshoot of that is it's loud inside when you drive them. It's not horrible, it's loud, and you just kind of expect it when you get them. Another really minor little thing about the WRX is just kind of cheap inside. Subaru has improved it a little bit over the years, but it's still, not like super high quality inside. All that's going to change once they switch over to the global platform, and I think if they change the WRX and STI as much as they did the Crosstrek, it's going to be pretty awesome. All right, with all of that being said, let's talk about really the main thing that bothers me about the WRX and would kind of drive me crazy if it was my daily car. And that is, it's a difficult vehicle to drive slow, which sounds insane because you don't buy a WRX or an STI or whatever to drive slow. But there's just something with the gear ratio, the clutch actuation point, and the power band of the car that first to second shift, or a downshift from a third to second, and then having to accelerate again if a light turns green on you or something. It's just, you really have to think about it to get a nice smooth takeoff. And the way to combat that obviously is to shift before 3,000 RPMs. And the first second gear ratio is pretty quick, so that comes at you pretty fast. So if you're not used to driving the car on a daily basis, it can be a little bit frustrating or annoying. At least I kind of found it that way. And I think some of it probably is the fact that, this is not my daily driving car. I don't drive it all the time. And I think you would probably get used to it the more time you spent in it. But it's just a little bit frustrating first to second. Like I mentioned earlier, mountain roads, driving like that is incredible. Love the car for that. But just, I think driving it in traffic on a daily basis would be a little bit frustrating. So this brings us to the Crosstrek and what I like about it and why I think it would be a good daily driver. And if you've been following the channel, you know that I had a 2014 previous and how much I like this 18 and all the improvements that Subaru made from the previous generation Crosstrek to this one. But a lot of the things that make this car a good daily driver are similar to the WRX, and that is good comfortable seats, excellent driving position, excellent visibility out of the car, logical controls, very easily can fit 4 people in the car comfortably, a lot of room for the size of the vehicle. You can make your Costco run, grocery store, etc. And it's just a good all-around, easy to drive, comfortable vehicle. With all of that said, both of these vehicles have their positives and their negatives. And in my opinion, picking a daily driver really kind of comes down to not only the attributes that you want in a car as a daily driver, but what you want to do with the vehicle beyond that. And for me, I wanted something that was comfortable on the road, that got good gas mileage, that was quiet, reliable, and had reasonable amount of room that would allow me to go to Costco and do things of that nature. So what pushed me towards the Crosstrek was its other abilities, and that is the ability to just throw my bikes on the roof, to throw my dog in the back, to actually go off-roading and go 4x4ing and get on some of these trails where I can get away from it all, maybe go camping, etc. So that's why I picked the Crosstrek, and that's why I think personally for me it's a better daily driver. But for other people, the WRX works better for them. They don't care about going off-road, and they don't care about 4x4ing or throwing their dogs in there, etc. It's maybe they like to do autocross or do spirited drives on the weekends or whatever. Two totally different vehicles with a lot of similarities. I like them both very much, and at different times in my life, I've had basically had both. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit different, kind of a weird comparison, but hopefully you had a good time. So please like and subscribe if you haven't, and please check out my other Crosstrek videos, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.